This morning, we're joined by Alexander Karp, the Chief Executive of Palantir Technologies, a leading data analytics company in Silicon Valley. We're going to be talking about Palantir's role in trying to work with the terrible problem of COVID-19 and other issues involving data analytics. Let's talk a little bit about Palantir and what it does. You often like to stress what it doesn't do. It doesn't own data. It's not in the business of sharing data, but it is in the business of analyzing big data. And maybe you could just explain to us what this technology that Palantir applies to data is all about. When somebody retains Palantir, becomes one of your customers, what are they buying from Palantir?
There's what they're buying and what they're getting. What they're in the end buying is a result based on their data so that they can make a decision, not that we can make a decision. And how they make the decision comes down to their level of technical acuity. Some people use ML at the final mile. Some people use data analytics. But what they're actually buying is a platform built years before it was needed that would allow you to replace, or in some cases replace parts of your platform that you would need to answer seemingly simple questions. So as an example, if you have hundreds and hundreds of data sets and you have to ask a simple question of how many people can fit into this hospital in this neighborhood, you've got to integrate all those data sets before you can ask and answer that question. And then you have to have a series of software products. And you may have 3 of the software products, but you don't have 14 of them. And so what Palantir does is we essentially collapse the time needed from the time you realize that your infrastructure is not working to the time you can ask and answer the question. And we did that by essentially predicting that times before 5 or 6 years out before we built the product would be very different than when we built the product. And so our product is used to maintain airplanes to help people drill for oil and gas in the national security context. It powers most of the police intelligence work in Europe and because of its data protection. But what you're really getting is an ability to replace or augment the software products you have overnight or within the context of a couple weeks so that you can ask and answer questions in a critical context, either in the commercial or the government context. And that's how we ended up being the engine behind most anti-terror institutions in the West, a number of the largest economic institutions in the West, and why Palantir is in 35 countries helping to mitigate the disaster incurred in the wake of the COVID pandemic.